Hi everyone, this is SerpApi podcast. Today's episode is about switching from individual contributor to manager. How, why, and what's next. Our guest is Oleksii. He is former head of mobile at Reface. Now he's advising companies about mobile development and team scaling. Oleksii, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me. As it was mentioned, I was head of mobile at Reface. Reface is a Ukrainian startup who grew really rapidly from nothing to 200 million downloads. It was top one app store app, and we got some awards from Google. So they are well known. I'm still didn't get used to my career changes, but so Reface is a tool for content production, which uses AI to produce different type of content, like animating images, changing faces on videos, on photos, and they are producing more and more new cool features right now. And me, so now I'm consulting and advising small and mid-sized companies and startups about setting up mobile teams, about hiring cross platforms or native mobile developers, about how to grow a team, how to not repeat mistakes that we did at Reface. Kind of that.
Cool, cool, that's great. And how have you, was you hired as a head of mobile at Reface, or did you grow from another position?
I joined Reface as regular individual contributor and iOS developer. It was back then it was a really small team of one Android, two iOS developers, designer, and product manager. And over time, company was growing, and I was trying to do best and took more responsibilities, trying to establish development process, engage team, and all that stuff. So over time, I grew to head of mobile. There was some kind of transitional position of engineer management for several months while I was leading a team, and we had kind of two teams, and then we joined them, and it changed to head of mobile position.
Makes sense. You have mentioned that you got more and more responsibilities in the Reface. Like you have started as an individual contributor, but then you started working on more and more. Why?
Okay, got the question. So it was kind of natural or something, because our team were growing quite slowly at the beginning. We hired one and then one more developer, and when we got four developers that are our team, it was quite obvious that we need to start doing something, so start organizing things somehow, because at the beginning we didn't have any documentation, like any code style rules or CI/CD stuff. So we were in such a rush that we had to deliver features as fast as possible. And to be honest, we really didn't pay much attention to all this kind of fancy stuff, I would say, because it's really luxury to have such things at the beginning of the project. And when we got four people in our team, it was quite clear to me that we need to start doing something, to start changing the way we work. And there was no other people who propose something or like taking initiative. So I started doing that. I started like, but I was not. I was kind of like same part of the team, so I was thinking, how to do that, like how to empower team, and I was trying to figure out how to do it more effectively and as smooth as I can, so everyone won't say that I'm trying to push them like some kind of bad way. So I took this like servant leadership strategy, and I was mainly referring to like to a point that we need to start changing like the way we work. And in general, everyone agreed on that. So we kind of built a space, time and space where we were discussing like our project, our current state, and what we have to change to succeed in future. That's how our like team meetings was born. I took more and more responsibility there. I in general organized these meetings. I proposed them. Then I started raising some topics like, what about like we have some issues like while doing code reviews, we don't have similar code style, like maybe we should do this, maybe we should set it up. And like this way I was trying to do my best to make companies succeed, and to make more comfortable to make other people in my team feeling like better and feeling more joy working with the project.
Cool. That's great. And did it actually help? Like you had your best intentions, but what was the result?
It's a great question. The result was, I don't know, like maybe I'm not the right person to measure it. I mean, it could look like I'm bragging, but for me it looked like that it went quite well. We really we started we added code linter, like so we got some rules how we would write code. I don't remember if we had CI/CD before that, but we at some point we got CI/CD, which really helped the process. We started refactoring and discussing, like, I think this is the most important part. We started discussing what parts of the project we have to change, because the history of the reface, like actually it was not reface at that point of time, it was duplicate. It called duplicate. The history of the project started on outsource, so like founders of the company engaged with outsource company and like asked them to develop first version of the app, and a lot of code was written on outsource, and it was quite messy because outsourced works that way. So you are trying to do it as fast as possible, and you are trying to take some parts of the code from different projects, and you never, it's not always the best way to do things like in this specific project, but it works, so they do it. So we had to refactor a lot of code in our code base, and we started building a plan. We created a like kind of separate tech dev board. We had like product board and tech dev board, and we were like where we were putting like our ideas, what should be refactored in which order. Then we were trying to merge all this like product board and tech dev board. As now as I look at it now, it was not really good idea, because it was kind of dark or like shadow board. Like nobody knew about it, to be honest, and we were just trying to put some tasks and do some tasks on spare time while doing product task. So basically, these initiatives brought us to a point where we refactored a lot, like most of the project, I would say. We got some really cool processes, like about how we write code, how we review code, how we like, and even we got some new documentation about how how project is working in general. So I think it was quite good initiative. I don't really know like if everyone were happy about that or not. I I didn't ask like I didn't have this kind of conversation like when we could share that, and I maybe I was too shy to ask this at that point of time, but actually thinking about it right now, I think it could be a really good idea.
Cool.
And yeah, like may I ask you also a
Yeah.
question, because we are discussing my experience, but as I understand, you also switched from individual contributor to manager, and what parts of your path were different, like because I think path to managerial like branches could be really different. What was yours?
It was kind of similar. Like I had kind of similar experience at my previous job. We had also lots of technical depth, but we had a bigger team. I started working on multiple parts of code. Basically, I also tried to combine as much responsibilities as I could, which were allowed for me. So I wanted to impact every possible part of the project or the product. And then it was pretty not bureaucratic, but that was not my kind of an organization there. Basically, I have failed to meet my expectations with what it resulted at the previous job, and then I have switched from it. Was doing freelancing, then joined SerpApi. At SerpApi, I joined it as engineer number 2 or 3. So we were a team of technical founder, and besides me, there was also another engineer. He's also right now an engineer, one of the engineering directors here. And here at SerpApi, I also started working on code base. Then have seen an opportunity to improve our continuous integration. Have seen an opportunity to improve code quality. Asked about profit sharing program. Then there was an opportunity for marketing. I have outsourced some part of marketing to a freelancer. Right now, he works with us as a full-time developer relations engineer. He's my brother, but at that point, it was this part is another topic to discuss, because like he learned programming in a month, and he immediately understood what's needed to be done, because he's my perfect match. But anyway, and I started working on multiple different things because it also went natural for me. And then our CEO just told me that he asked me if I'm fine switching the title. Like, I will do the same as I'm doing, but the title will be different. And I have asked him how his expectations would change. He have said nothing, just like the change of the title, because at that point I was and that was fun. Not like he have said me that he wants to change the title on February 23rd previous year, and the next day full blown
Okay.
invade.
Just before the war started. Oh my God. Oh, that's really,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Wow. So as I got it, you changed, and you like took responsibility not only over technical things but also on business things.
Yes.
Okay, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, like, and also hiring. But basically, I was interested and right now also interested in marketing, also interested in how to produce more business value because that's basically what is like ideal result from me, like help business grow. Is yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, producing more business value is, I think, the most like crucial and main thing that is expected from manager, like any kind of level.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's really cool. I mean, like that's really cool that you are shaping it that way. So you are have your main goal, uh, that bring more value to the business. That's also like what I understood at some point of time, and that's really the idea I think that works. I mean, if you want to switch to management, uh, the first step could be, or like the one thing really to gut is to start thinking that way, to start thinking how I can bring more value to the business. And that's what differs between like that's what differs manager from individual contributor. Like I mean, ideal individual contributor probably also thinks about this, but manager do it on a bigger scale. What do you think? I mean, do you agree
yeah.
with this or?
Yes, I agree with you, and I guess like I wanted to mention Basecamp in this part of the discussion because they have
Mm-hmm.
something like career path or something like I don't remember the exact name, but they have on GitHub, on their GitHub, some sort of career path and expectations from each level of seniority, and at the level of like to switch from middle to senior engineer, it's expected to them to do start to finish ownership at one subsystem. Then when they switch to staff engineers, they to start to finish ownership from on multiple subsystems. Principal engineer or engineering manager do start from finish ownership like at the company at the whole business level. And I I and I have like my previous colleagues from previous job also had this kind of mindset to help the business grow, and but they some of them are still individual contributors, like staff engineers or technical leads, but not engineering managers, not CTOs, but still produce helping business to produce uh, lots of business value.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's really cool thing to have like disregarding the role you have. I mean, it like if you are, I don't know, let's like maybe yeah, if you are an office manager, if you like, if your mission is to bring more value to the company, like it changed everything. I once heard this kind of story about some workers building a church, and like they come and ask like one worker like, well, what do you do? Like he answered, I'm I'm building like hall, or like I'm building a wall or something. They came to another and asked him the same question. He answered like some kind of similar but a bit different thing. And they came to another one and asked like, what do you do? And he answered, I'm building a church for people that want to be closer to God and feel more engaged. And like this defines the mission, and having a mission is really important while you are doing something, because when you are focusing on some so small like things, you will never you will probably end up building like some kind of not really consistent big thing. And while you are having this understanding of and mission in your head, in your mind, you already have this very consistent thing, and you're just, like building a Lego or like solving a puzzle. So you have this final picture of what you have to do, and you are just putting blocks like in the right place. And I think this is the really key thing to understand, and key thing to, like, the best way to think about it.
Yeah, I agree that bird's eye view is what I'm actually always trying to do. And by the way, recently I understood, like, not I always, and at the same point, it sometimes hurts. Like when I try to merge multiple sources of information about the business in my head, and I got overwhelmed. Had you something like that, and how do you deal with that? Actually, like when you was an engineer, like head of mobile, and you thought about engineering and also about the processes, about your like product boards, technical boards. Had you a single source, not single source, a single dashboard, or how had you like communicate bird's eye picture?
Yeah, I think I got the question. Yeah, it was like there was no board. The board was in my head, and it was really tough. I got your pain, and I felt your pain at that point of time, and it's really tough to merge all the contexts. And the problem here, I think, is like it's really good to have more context, but it becomes more complex to merge these contexts. So you have like small amount of context. You make poor decisions. You have more context. You make better decisions, but it's much harder to merge all that stuff. But I think it's kind of exercise for your brain, and it develops over time. That's why I think it's really good to like bootcamp, how the way bootcamp put it. So you initially start taking care of small parts of the system, then bigger. So you're basically exercising in merging multiple contexts, and be attentive to a lot of different details. So like this kind of natural growth is really important, because switching it really fast, it's really complicated. I mean, how we define, like, what's the difference between a child and a grown up? I mean, there are a lot of difference, but one big difference is the amount of context each of them could handle. And this says to me that it's kind of a process. Like, you can't start doing it really, really fast. I mean, you could try, you could fail, and if you are stubborn enough, you can still become better in a shorter time at this. But it could break you. I think it could be really harmful, and you can burn out. I think it's really important. So getting back to your question, sorry, I got too philosophical. So it was everything in my head, and I was trying to merge it on the go, and get more and more context about what business situation do we have, what project situation in from technical side do we have. We had also Android and iOS project problems. There were quite different, and I was actually really surprised how different teams could be. I mean, it's the same app, but different platforms. But how much the things you work every day defines you, because my Android team, guys in Android team, were so much different from guys from iOS team, and they have so different problems. I mean, it's kind of natural. I mean, and obvious that they have different problems. But we were kind of part of the same big thing. We were a team, even we like most of the time we were working as a big team of iOS, Android, and quality assurance engineers. So kind of I was putting everything together and trying to to translate it and to share it. What kind of context do we have with my team? And I was trying to bring as more context as I could, because my true belief is that if you like bring as much context as you can about the business, people would would take more actions, would be more like energetic, and like they would have more interest in helping business. I mean, I think it's kind of natural for like, or if you hire another kind of people, you should probably change something. But for my team, it was kind of natural that they wanna grow business and help business. But at some point of time, I understood that they didn't have enough context to do that. They had some small piece of context that were like, it was really about me. It was really about senior leadership of the company. So I started like bring more context. I was making team meetings where I was describing the whole situation about the company, what our plans are like. So I was trying to be the person who brings like everything I have to my team and to put everything on the table. Yeah, of course, like sometimes you just couldn't say like everything. For example, like let's say let's take current situation. Like there are a lot of layoffs, and this kind of stuff. You probably can't bring everything to your team. It could be really overwhelming and could hurt. But actually, I can see like how some managers do it and manage it quite well. They sometimes they announce like we'll be having layoffs, so everyone be prepared. Like and they leave some time to live with it for each person in the company. And I think this one kind of a strategy, like it's not so painful, but still it's being laid off is crazy. I mean, it's such a pressure and it's such a trauma for individual contributor and like for any part of a team. So yeah, if I really wish more managers were thinking like what kind of harm they do layoffing people. I mean, it doesn't mean they shouldn't do that, because at the end it's all about business. But you could really change the way you do it. Sorry, I got too far at this question.
No, this was great. Thank you.
Yeah, what's your approach about context? Like how do you manage it? Are you holding everything in your head, and how you, in what way you share context with your team?
At this point, I also merge everything in my head, but I'm trying to find a way. Like there should be some sort. Like right now, I'm thinking about some sort of mind map or a tool about mind maps that can communicate bird's eye view picture. But right now we just have like a transparency as much as we can. Like that's what I read. Like sharing context is about transparency, and yeah. So we just like we have GitHub issues and we communicate everything, mostly everything in the GitHub, and we either have GitHub issues about what to do next, or we have a wiki, or mostly about it. I guess that's it. I try to write down everything. Like I try to write down everything about the bigger picture, about the strategy. But at this point, I don't have a like single point where everything is combined about like marketing, engineering, also bugs, also hiring, also something else. Maybe business value also about some.
Okay.
I guess there should be some tool, or I wish. I guess there is no such tool because every situation is different, but I'm thinking about it. And also, you at some point you have mentioned construction workers that builds a church versus construction workers that doing something with bricks. And
Yeah.
like just yesterday, so I right now I'm attending a course about mindfulness, and just yesterday there was a lecture, some like short lecture about exactly similar situation. So when do something, like try to do the best, like how to do the work in the best way possible, not only short term but also long term, and like it's a shift in mind. It's not related only to work but generally to everything, like drinking the water or anything. I can't explain it clearly because it can be like understood only after that was
After people try
yes,
it, you
yes,
mean,
yes.
or yeah, I know what you're talking about. Absolutely, and I really agree on that. Yeah, I think it's kind of yeah. Our podcast will gone probably from technical to very philosophical, but I like this the topic you raised, and I think this kind of mission thing it changed the way our brain like the way our brain work. So it gives you more mindfulness. It gives you more joy about the process if you know why you do it. So if you are putting bricks in some kind of way, it's one thing. But if you are building a church for like people to help them achieve something, like got something, it's very different thing. Because when I became head of mobile, I really had a clear goal, clear mission. I wanted to build a team where everyone likes to work. I mean, I was so I was so happy about working at Reface, like from the beginning, and building this product with that people. So I felt like kind of working with in really cool band, producing some really cool stuff. So you kind of I imagined myself as kind of badass who are disrupting the market, and actually that's what we did. I mean, like Reface definitely disrupted the market. We grew so fast, and I wanted to build the same kind of experience for my people, because company was changing, it was becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and our connections with people like became more loose. Like the people I was working initially started leading their departments. I got my own, and I was kind of missing this feeling of enjoying like each day of work, each day of building some stuff. So I wanted to build very, like, maybe not the same but very similar experience for my team, so they will enjoy every day working and build stuff, feel their mission, and really know people they work with. Because I really believe that we I didn't hire regular people. I didn't hire people who are not interested in, like, and I hired people who I would really love to hang out in the evening with some beers. I mean, that's not all their regals, but that's not everything they can do. They were actually really senior professionals, but this was also a thing to consider to me. So I think I was, I probably the team would better measure and say if I succeeded or not in this, but like personally me, I was really happy receiving feedback when I left Reface about how cool it was to work with me. I mean, not everyone wrote to me, but I'm okay with that. But those who did this, yeah, I felt like, yeah, I achieved that thing. Maybe not for all of them, but for some of them, then it's kind of cool. Yeah, talking about the mission.
Cool. Thank you for your answer. Cool. And sorry, you want to ask something? You just had the like press or like before.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I was thinking like, yeah, do you have your mission at SerpApi, or maybe some career mission in general?
I guess yes, it's also similar to what you have said. Not only
How much we have in common? It's quite surprising.
yes, like I have, yeah. So about the common things between us, like I can comment about that in the like later, but right now about the mission. Like I also want to work on somewhere where I enjoy working, partially because it's my personality. I value it a lot because of my childhood, because of like also of my parents. It's basically how I see the world. Like I always try to see the world like that. So enjoying doing something or like enjoy living and like that. And I have seen an opportunity to something, and so I don't have a like mission like end goal, only some sort of beacon where I'm going and where I'm navigating. It it is also always about being happy, being healthy, uh, personally, in family, and also like financially. Uh, it is it, it's I have to think about it to explain because I hadn't asked myself about a mission for some period of time. But when you have shared your approach, I wanted to tell about Gary Vaynerchuk. He's like he's Gary V on Twitter and other social media.
Yeah, I know him. He's really cool guy. I follow him, and I really like ideas he
He
pushes.
always tells about like the right perspective and about having a joy and about like some very distant goal and see on the life from that perspective, like from the mind. Basically, for me, it's mindfulness. I don't know whether he shares this vision on his approach, but for me, that's how I see it. And yeah, some sort of that. So my current mission is to be happy and share happiness, like in any.
Okay, sounds good.
eh,
In any way
Yes,
possible.
yes, yes.
Okay, that's really cool mission. I like it.
It's also very simple because when I sometimes it happens when I struggle to define my uh, like goal for the day, and then I remember be happy and uh, help others be happy. Like super simple, but very focused. And
Yeah, I no no continue
and
continue.
this is this sort of I would say holistic approach to life. Like not only like not separating like work from personal stuff, from health, from everything else. Like everything is combined. Uh, I Another part I wanted to share is like about my personality. So uh, from what I understand about myself is I was grown like with the separation of father. Like I was grown by my mom and by my grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
and this sort
Mm-hmm.
of holistic approach is more women more follow that part because men are more
Okay. Mm-hmm.
structured. Like they separate everything from everything. Like I even don't have a work schedule. Like I always work whenever it's like it feels best. It's also I also
Mm-hmm.
struggle sometimes about that, but and work on it. But generally, this approach of trying to be responsible for more things, also thinking about the process, about mission, enjoyment, is more about like mother, about the impact of my mom. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and right now I'm adding more uh, parts from my father, like adding more structure. That's why I'm
So you are rebuilding the part of you
yes,
that was
basically I'm
a little poor
yeah
or.
connecting with my inner part that some at some point in the past I have lost connection. Not lost, but it was
Mm-hmm.
yeah partially it's lost.
Disconnected
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
some reason.
yeah, and it
Okay.
also recently I have accepted the fact that I have some sort of ADHD. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it always felt to me that I don't have an ADHD. I just want to work on something that I'm proud of and that was fun. And then I just opened Wikipedia, and on the first paragraph, this is the same phrasing: working on only the things that person loves, and trying to avoid other work that is important but it not considers to be fun. And like, wow, okay, I'm glad that I'm at least accept that fact. And sorry, I was sidetracked. Uh, yeah, I was sidetracked right now. I'm was asked. I have answered your question. Then move it to another part.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, like I did the same thing, and yeah. By the way, you mentioned ADHD, and it's I think very popular. Like it's becoming very popular in the world. Like, it's becoming more and more popular, and like recently I talked to a Ukrainian startup who builds like task app or like task app for ADHD people, and they have a test. So I mean, Wikipedia is cool, but I think it's more precise way to diagnose and check this is to have some kind of test, and while they onboard user, they give you like a test to pass and understand if you have some sort of ADHD or you might have that. And then they are trying to help you overcome ADHD and to find a way building your schedule and your task list the way you will finally finish things and do things that you not always like. But actually it was my kind of life goal to do things I like and don't do things that I don't like. So it's, maybe I'm also have an ADHD. I was thinking.
Who knows? Like I have discussed this topic with my therapist, and he said that it can be managed, and I was afraid about managing my ADHD. Maybe I'm not ADHD, but just I'm hyper focused on something and distracted on other things. And I have discussed this with my therapist, and he said that it can be managed, like from the psychological point of view, and that ability to see bird's eye view on everything doesn't still present. So only bad parts are managed, like, and also. Like for me, if you are talking about ADHD, I have found a super simple way for me. Like it's meditation, like watching for my breath, and basically, from what I'm now understanding, that lack of balance, like inner balance, like this sort of distraction, hyper focus is when I is balanced in either left or right, either into flowing into something or into structure and something. And I'm balancing myself with meditation and with mindfulness and with other like psychophysical exercises. But yeah, that's cool that you have mentioned an application for ADHD, and it's also Ukrainian.
Yeah, it's called Numo. It spells like Numo, and this is really amazing team. They built this product this year, and they are already profitable, which is really kind of cool. So yeah, maybe like you could try and see. But getting back to managerial topic, I think a lot of managers could have ADHD because you have to switch contexts so fast, and so much context you have to switch, because like as a developer it's really natural to do one thing for hours. I mean, like you are trying to get this flow and to fix some develop some feature or fix some bug, and it usually takes like from hour to like several hours, and you don't really want to be distracted during that time. Otherwise, you have to start the game. But as the manager, you switch context like this. You have to think about one thing at this moment, and another person comes to you and asks, "Oh, we have a problem, and we have to solve it right now." And you have you have to find a way to switch context really fast and to be as more effective, solving these problems as you could. So it's also kind of exercise, and I think you have to be really tough and organized and self-conscious becoming a manager, because it always starts with overwhelming. I mean, it always starts overwhelming at the beginning. Like I talked to multiple friends who became team leaders like during this year, and they all had the same situation. They at the beginning they were like thinking, oh my god, I became a manager, I could do nothing almost, and delegate all the work and it will be fine. And I was saying to them like, no, probably not, definitely not at the beginning, because at the beginning you are so overwhelmed with amount of things you have to fix, because everything is falling apart like usually, and you just sometimes, like, mainly you don't have skills. You didn't develop it really well enough to solve things like properly and in really fast manner at the beginning. So I would say, like, talking about how you feel as a manager, like when you become a manager, like at the beginning it starts like this. You start from overwhelming level, 1, 2, and then it comes like this to overwhelming level 99. Sometimes it became at this level, and then it becomes to like getting back to not the same level, but something in the middle, like level 3, 5 or something, because once you develop the skill of changing context and at the same time thinking like having this bird view on things, bird side, how it's called. And once you develop that skill well enough, and but to do that, actually you need to get to a point where you're at least for me, maybe there are other, like there's definitely other ways to do that, but it took me some time to get so overwhelmed. So I started like changing the way I work, like start delegating things, start to like declining things that are not really mine. So I think that's why a lot of managers could have ADHD, because it's really hassle, and you are responsible like for everything. You can you are responsible not for every success, because your mainly team does that and you are kind of somewhere close, but when it's failure, like it's you responsible for that. It's kind of downsides of being a manager. Do you agree on that, or like maybe you have other examples from, maybe it was just my experience?
I agree with you, but also have other examples. So I have worked with at some point worked with CTO from Germany. He was super structured, like everything is in the right place, and it was like when I started working with him, it was so easy to work on something, because like I just have to do my best, and that's it. He cares about everything, so he have a bigger picture, structured, tells like you do that, you do that, you do that, you do that. Just do what I do in the best way possible. That's it. And it's so stress revealing. And at the same time, I still wanted to have more ownership, but like also I want to be as structured as he is, because like when I worked with him, I felt like I need this. I need to learn how to do that, because like I know my way of doing things, like combining everything and then trying to like swim in it. Like and
Sink or swim way.
yeah, and also like I'm planning to do podcast episode with our sorry, I forgot the name. With
Once I created the marker.
I want to do a podcast episode with Victor. He's our
Yeah.
What is the word in English?
For what? I mean,
Anyway, both you and me know Victor, and he's very structured,
yeah.
and I want to.
Yeah, he's so structured. Sometimes I feel a bit terrified actually about him. I mean, the way how he's structured.
Yes.
I mean, how he structures all information that comes to him, and it's wow. I mean, I couldn't do the same. I'm kind of more improviser, and I do have some structure while like at work, but yeah, it's I would say it's not so natural thing to me because in life I like being spontaneous. I don't like long-term planning, but actually that's actually the thing that I had to develop as being head of mobile, because a company expects from me being strategic. I mean, I'm responsible for strategy of mobile department for next month, and if we got to a point where we couldn't do this kind of new feature in appropriate, like in an acceptable time, that would be probably my fault without not overseeing this part.
Mhm. And how did you manage that delivery on time and being spontaneous?
Oh, whoa! It's really cool and tough question. Because this is the topic I always trying to to be better in. Like, I'm reading books. I'm taking courses how to build better processes and make delivery process more predictable and more stable. Because I mean, I met some people who told me that software development could be quite predictable,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
to be honest, I don't believe them. I don't believe them because I don't have such experience. I mean, because it comes like everything could be boiled to, like, software development could be boiled to the fact that it's quite complicated thing. Like, usually, I mean, like, if it's something simple like a landing page, yeah, you could come up with quite precise estimate. But if we are talking about developing new feature in existing app, or adding some service to existing backend, no, it's different. It's because it involves so much other things, and some parts you just couldn't predict. Because you like I'm reading a book right now which is called yeah, let
Mhm.
me check. Um, yeah, 1 second. The
Mhm.
Mythical Man Month
Mhm.
by Frederick Brooks, I think. Yeah, Frederick Brooks, and he talks there about software development process. Like, it's quite old book. I think the first version of it was like in 80s, but it's still quite actual. I mean, yeah, we don't work with some parts that they worked with, like some memory, like the way you add memory, how you, like, you have to, yeah. So it basically, it was like much different from the way from the like talking about the tools, but the part about the estimation and how you build stuff actually, and how you architecture it's the same. I mean, it hasn't changed at all. And there he says there are like the some the part without developing like some new feature, some functionality, usually it's like could be 1/6 or 1/3 part of the whole feature development process, because there are some integration part, there are some testing part, and some other things that takes it could be really unpredictable and could take much more time. So I think everyone heard about adding some mythical numbers and multiplying some estimate by some mythical numbers, and it's basically some kind of risk estimation, and it's cool, but still it doesn't help you being precise enough. So it's always like some problems could always arise, and usually it's integration part, like when you're trying to integrate. But as a good planner, as a good manager, you have to predict this, and you actually have to be really good in development, because maybe it's just because it's me and I have this experience of developing myself, and I'm not the best, but not the worst developer. I understand a lot of parts of this process, and I really, could not believe in managers who work in tech and don't know how to code and don't know how to build things, because I just couldn't imagine how these guys could, leverage and manage these expectations without having a relevant expertise. I mean, they could ask their lead developer or something, but it's usually one person. It could be wrong. So my main skill, I would say, like in managing expectation, managing projects, and managing delivery, was as clear communication as possible, and it involved multiple interactions during the feature or like project development. Always at the beginning, I was talking to developers, and we were trying to help them. If I can see some blind spot that they didn't notice and didn't estimate, I was trying to to emphasize it. It's kind of learning curve as well. You coach, you guide your team. Then it's how you do things. Like in the process, I'm trying to stay quite close, but definitely not micromanaging team. And like during the whole process, I'm trying to inform all stakeholders like about what's happening. And if I feel like we could stuck at some point, I'm trying to predict it like a few steps before and inform them, because mainly I think it's delivery is about managing expectation rather than delivering on time. I mean, it's not like delivering on time is really important, and you couldn't neglect it, like its importance. But it's sometimes it's just tough to to be very precise in estimating things. And you could meet and your responsibility as manager here to communicate all risks you have, emphasize them, and you come up with positive scenario and negative scenario, and communication in the process is the key, I think.
I agree. And I also want to mention another example of managing that sort of communication. So Basecamp have an approach they call fixed time, fixed. I forgot how it's named. So it's FFFs.
Fixed time, fixed
no, fixed. What's named? So they can cut the scope, but never the time or budget.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. These are tools for project management, and actually, that's my fault that I didn't mention it. But yeah, you always not managing only stakeholders, and expectations. You are managing the scope, and you are communicating your responsibilities to communicate. Okay, we are we are way out of time and we need to change something. And sometimes you get a proposal to add more people to a team, but it's not always working. And actually, this the mythical man month explain it really well, but it basically doesn't help. It's actually making things worse. So I think really the best way is to cut some parts and add them after release or something. But adding people, it could be really challenging.
And not always, like, sometimes people even prefer having no estimations than struggling with estimations that are anyway won't be met. So I have mentioned that I want to learn from the CTO from Germany. Always I would like to learn from people from Basecamp because they are like following their principles for 17 years, I guess, and they then haven't changed. Right now, they just found another name for it instead of fixed price, fixed budget, flexible scope. They name it appetite, and
yeah, but I think the way you described it really describes it best, because fixed time, fixed budget, and what's
flexible
the
scope.
Yeah, flexible scope. Yeah, it's. I think it's great. I mean, I've never heard of I've never thought about it this way, but when it comes to way we work, it's a very common approach. And I think I like it. It's very cool.
Oh. We started with a discussion about switching from engineer to manager, and right now we are discussing parts of the manager's work. But anyway, in your opinion, who is an engineering manager?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I could say who is like engineering manager
Or just a manager?
Yeah, I don't have much. Yeah, I would rather say about who is the manager in general, and it's definitely my perspective. I mean, disclosure. So I think of a manager as a glue between business and development, or like technical thing part, and this kind of unique kind of glue who at some part, like, you have to glue every part so well, and I mean you have to glue this whole mechanism so well so it won't fall apart. I mean, you could face a lot of pressure, like from the market or like from stakeholders, but yeah, you have to be really strong glue and keeping all this system and well communicated, well in a good state, in a good shape. But at the same time, you have be that kind of glue who allows each part of this mechanism to be like to move frictionless and not to
Elastic.
Yeah, to be flexible, to be elastic, and this is kind of who manager is to me. And it's if being more specific, it's because it's some kind of general stuff. It involves such thing as translating from business language to developers language and vice versa. You have to be really strategic while you are prioritizing things, while you are building your tech stack, and while you're developing team. And being servant leader, it's really my approach. It's not for everyone probably, but my approach being servant leader when it comes to people management, people development. Yeah, so I'm trying to put people in the first place. and being facilitator when it comes to conflicts, because conflicts is a natural part of the process, and you have to be that person who helps resolve them. For this, you have to be, you don't have to take any, obviously not any side of the conflict, and yeah, you have to really be flexible, like mindful and aware about each side, and help them meet each other at some point.
Makes sense. And you have mentioned being a facilitator. Is this why you right now consulting businesses? Because basically it's facilitating.
I mean, yeah, probably, because yeah, I like being facilitator, and I feel kind of comfortable in this role. Yeah, I think that's this. If I had an option to start my own business, and if I had an idea, I would probably do that. But since I don't have such ideas right now, I think I'm just trying to follow in my strong skills, and to bring more value to people they needed them, like they needed this value.
Uh, can you explain more? You have said that if you had such an idea, do you mean idea about the business?
Yeah, if I had an idea of a business, I would, yeah, I would love to start my own business, and to build a company that I dreamed about. Yeah, I mean, I'm smiling because yeah, it's kind of when expectation meets reality. I mean, like, now I'm thinking I will build my dream company, and then I'm like, well, I will be actually building it. It will be not as I imagine it, but yeah, whatever. um so yeah, I think it's about value and my strong skills, and I got some experience at Reface. We went through some really tough things. We expanded really fast. We grew a team really fast. We built really good team. We did some mistakes, and I want to help other businesses avoid that mistakes.
Do you treat consulting as a business?
Ah, I was thinking about it at the beginning, but I think I think probably now isn't the best time for me to start this kind of business. I think I need to get more connections, to be enabled, and I think I have to become better and in
Mhm.
selling stuff, because it's kind of struggle for me. Uh, but I really enjoy the way I do it now, because I find people like in my network who really need my help, and there is no cold outreach or something, and yeah, people I meet, they are always like really interesting and building something really cool. And consulting business, I think it's a bit different. I think it's less about, it's about more about business and less about
Hmm.
joy, probably.
Thank you for your answer. Uh, are you fine to continue, or do you want to have a break?
Yeah, I think it would be really good to wrap things up, because I wanna have some food. I wanna go grab something to eat, and yeah, I have another meeting in 20 minutes.
Cool. Cool. Then we will we have other things to discuss. Probably some other episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Alexei. So to summarize, in this episode we have discussed how to. We haven't discussed how to. We just discussed the process of switching from software engineer to a manager. Challenges that can be on that part, and challenges on being on the side of being a manager, and how to manage challenges of being a manager, at least from our experience. And my final question, do you have something to add, or can you share your message to yourself like 10 years ago or at some point in the past?
Okay. I think I would rather share a message to myself 10 years ago, and that message would be get more knowledges, like do more courses, read more books, and try to get more experience from that. It's really important to be prepared. I mean, you can improvise always, but if you already have a goal of being a manager, start preparing, like start start doing some steps, and not just theoretical. Try to do it more practical. You already have space to do that, even if you are at the first job doing some regular developer stuff and being an individual contributor. You still can add business value. You can still build managerial skills. It's right in front of you.
Thank you. Thank you for talking. Thank you for joining the podcast today. It was very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was really cool to talk to you, and yeah, thank you for sharing your experience. I hope it would be really useful to our listeners. And yeah, have a nice day. It was really nice to see you.
Thank you.